I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? We're back. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018. I keep on forgetting this now. 2018 Innovation Award winner and 2020 Best Podcast Award winner. Over the last 2 weeks, I don't know why I'm forgetting that, but let's get right. 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, we have reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. And actually, maybe I'll do it on the next show. We're actually hosting our first online fatherhood virtual summit coming up at the end of this month. So probably next time you're on, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But you know what? That's it. Yes. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa is back. We took a 2-show hiatus. One weekend was Labor Day long weekend. Another weekend says we just need a break. So we've been away for a while, which means there's mucho lato to chat abouto. And it's nonstop. So just to make you aware, Aisha is not feeling well, so she's not going to be with us tonight. But you know something? The show goes on, and you know what? We are ready to bring up first Laura LaLa Key and also Dr. Tachi.
Hey.
Hi, Dr. Tachi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Dr. Tachi is in the house. What is going on, ladies?
A lot. I have really been working hard on my sister's case.
Yes.
That's kind of taken over my life a lot. Got a couple of other things going on in real estate as well. Took 2 new listings in Los Angeles. I'm doing well.
Wow. And the flirty hair is in full prominence tonight. I love it. Dr. Tachi, what is going on in your world? We communicate a lot via the digital, but once in a while we get to see each other through a screen.
Yes, like today.
How are things with you?
Busy as per usual. I don't have 2 lavish listings in Los Angeles, but not everybody can be so blessed.
OMG. All right. So before we get to things, Primetime Saturday at Patreon, where you hear girlfriends chat.
Yeah, we had one this week, so it was really good, y'all.
The 3 amigos?
Yes, the 3 amigos.
Oh, wonderful.
That's awesome.
That is,
yeah.
You know what? We may have to talk about, see if we can bring that to IndieSoup Media.
Oh, it's fun. We really kick back and have fun.
Okay.
I can imagine.
I could imagine that too. Primetime Saturday store. There's the link.
Don't get your wine glasses because it's going to be a busy one until we get to election. Go on and get your wine glasses and your pajama bottoms and go on and order them now.
Is there Primetime Saturday wine glasses yet?
Yes.
A good product.
That probably was the first product, wasn't it?
Exactly the first product.
Also, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We'd like to get to 1,600 subscribers. We're not like IndieSoup Media that's like 17,000. Excuse me. But also, so follow the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And since I put up on the screen, Dr. Tachi, what's going on with IndieSoup Media?
Well, so we're actually at 18,300.
Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, we're actually at 18,300. Mind you, we only started in March, so it's been exponential growth. We just ended last night. Most shows ended their season 2, so we will do 8 weeks of replays in case you missed the wonderful shows in the season 2, and we still have some shows like your shows that go continuously, so those won't have a break, but we'll come back in November for season 3 and all new shows and new creators too.
How many creators you got now?
See, this is where you're trying to make me laugh. I know there are 30 shows. So,
wow.
Yeah, and that's not counting creators that are coming on board. I haven't counted them yet. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And yeah, it never stops growing. I feel blessed that I'm one of the few shows that providing continuous, somewhat up-to-date content.
Yeah.
So I'm getting very good at doing 1 hour editings these days, as you notice. So there we go. I got taught well by some former staff mates. So this is all good.
That's not an easy feat because we talk about a lot.
You know, what's a blessing, and I have to hail up Ben, who was an intern through the summer. And one of the things I asked him, I said, Ben, can you write a little guide on how you edit full shows, audio-wise, full shows, video-wise, and how he does the 1 hour? And his guide was just right on point. So it's made it, actually, it's more difficult to edit a show down to an hour than it is to just do edits for a full show. It's a certain gift that you have to do to know exactly what you're looking for. So
yes.
It's been cool. But yeah, so you know what? Before we go any further, there is in the house JJ Mars from Colorado. Give us the weather in Colorado. What's up? Everyone says hello to JJ Mars. I know you're going to be engaged in this conversation because a lot going on about election.
Yes.
Lord. All right. So you said yes, Lord. Oh God.
Yes, Lord.
Okay. So where am I going to go about this? There's one or two ways. Okay. Let's just go into this and talk about it. The upcoming Kamala Harris 45 debate.
I'm not still convinced that he'll show up.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm really serious. I'm serious about that. You never know with him. The wind can blow to the west, and he'll decide that he doesn't like something, or then all of a sudden he'll go off on a tangent talking about ABC is fake news. I just don't believe anything at all about this man at all. I don't trust him. And the fact that he gets away with so much is angering. And I've actually had to step back from a lot of my feelings about this man, because you know what? I can't hurt my health over someone who is like him and his status. I just won't do it. So we know he's a liar. We know he's a blow in the winder. We know everything is always horrible news and I'm the best. And I can recite to you in my sleep how he responds to things. And it's just disheartening. You know, I would like to see a good debate, but we know what we're going to get. We know what we're going to get. We're going to have it live. We're going to have a watch party, right? Don't forget, guys, we're having a watch party with this. But don't expect anything new, because he's going to stick to his same old script, period. Don't like him.
Dr. Tachi, you're just nodding and whatever. Talk to me.
Do you want me to add anything? She wrapped it up well. I am with her, although he may very well show up. Here is the thing. He has never had to be called out on his rubbish, ever. This is going to be the first time he is going to have to be held accountable for anything. Let's look at what's been happening. Even there's been a kowtowing, right? All these rules, all these things. And here's what I don't like. The rules have already been established for debates already. So all this back and forth is too much. It's an attempt to make sure that he looks good. It's not even about being for or against Kamala Harris. She's a seasoned politician. She's also a seasoned prosecutor, attorney. She knows what to do when it comes to those types of things. That trials go by debate. Okay. So that's not even an issue with her. This is going to be his issue because he's never had to be questioned per se. Not that he's never been involved in debates, but he's run the debates by his own rules the way he wants to. So this is going to be very interesting to see. I know one thing that the Harris team, of course, was pushing for open mics during this whole time. That just would have shown how unhinged he was. But apparently the mics will only be open when the respondent is speaking.
Correct.
And they said, I've seen some news reports, oh, this is a blow. It's not a blow. Because guess what? We can still see his mouth moving if he's saying
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it is not a blow at all. The thing is, you can try and put up safeguards to ensure that things follow the rules of debate. But when you have someone who does not like to follow rules and or thinks that the rules do not apply to him, you're not going to get a rule following individual. So he's going to follow rules this one time, all this time he hasn't been following rules. So it is not a blow at all. He's going to show exactly who he is. So even if we can't see him, we can see the body language of his antics. I mean, if he doesn't have any antics, there must have been, Jesus has come back. That's all I have to say.
Well, you know all his moves, all his facial features. He's going to be doing all of that. But here's what's going to happen. So in case y'all don't know how it's going to be set up, it will be on ABC, 9 p.m.
I'm going to save you some air. I'm going to read through the rules for you.
Okay, I had them ready.
But so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put them up on the screen.
Great.
So we can go through. You can go through and any comments you have about the debate, these rules, please share.
Yeah.
So here we go. So it's going to be hosted by World News Tonight anchor and managing editor David Muir, and World News Tonight Sunday anchor and ABC News prime anchor Lindsay Davis. Lindsay, was she the same lady on the panel at the NABJ?
I don't think. No, that wasn't her.
Okay, so here are the rules. The debate will be 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks.
Yes.
The 2 seated moderators, David Muir and Lindsay Davis, will be the only people asking questions. A coin flip was held virtually on September 3rd to determine the podium placement and order of closing statements. Former President 45 won the coin toss and chose to select the order of statements. The former president will offer the last closing statement, and Vice President Harris selected the right podium on the screen, stage left. Candidates will be introduced by the moderators. Candidates enter upon introduction from opposite sides of the stage. The incumbent party will be introduced first. No opening statements. Closing statements will be 2 minutes per candidate. Candidates will stand behind podiums for the duration of the debate. Props or pre-written notes are not allowed on stage. No topics or questions will be shared in advance with campaigns or candidates. Candidates will be given a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, 2-minute rebuttals, and 1 extra minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Candidates' microphones will only be live for the candidate whose turn it is to speak and muted when the time belongs to the other candidate. Candidates will not be permitted to ask questions of each other. Campaign staff may not interact with candidates during commercial breaks. Moderators will seek to enforce timing agreements and ensure a civilized discussion. There will be no audience in the room.
He's going to derail everything. He's not going to stick on topic. We know that. He is going to do everything that he can with body language and facial expressions. And everything is going to be an insult or something to glorify him. He's going to call her names. He's going to disrespect her in every way possible. And I would be surprised if he does show up that he doesn't walk off.
Absolutely. He's proven, and this is not conjecture, this is not fable. He's proven that he is unhinged in public situations and in private situations too, but he is unhinged. I don't think there is going to be an all of a sudden locus of control that he is able to bring in when it comes to this, because he's never been able to do it before. And he's been
in any circumstance,
under any circumstance. But let's even just take debate. He's been through how many debates now? So 2 with the former, and then 1. So is this 3 debates? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
3 debates all together. And he's been unhinged in every single one. I highly doubt, with a 99.9% level of certainty, that he's going to be able to pull it together to become hinged for this debate. I really don't think so. And
I mean, he's going to just try to do the exact same thing that he's doing at the rallies. No surprises.
Because he's pandering to a certain demographic. And here's the thing. He is showman first. Remember, this guy is a TV personality. He is running things as if this is The Apprentice, because that's what he knows. He barely knows business. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that this is his field. So that's what he knows. That's how he ran the country the last time, and badly, because he's a bad business person. The fact that you're able to bully people into things does not make you a good business person. That makes you the mob.
It really does.
Interesting.
And the fact that his family is now going over and meeting, what y'all not really hearing when you really start digging into what's going on. Because if you really care about your country, don't just listen to the surface stuff that they're feeding you every day. Okay, that's the circus. What you need to be paying attention to is the deeper things that are going on. His family's over here in Saudi Arabia shaking hands with the Saudis. Like, they should be not making any deals at all. And they're over here picking all their people of who they're going to want to be in bed with again, because they're already in bed with them.
Right. And so there is a lot of presumptiveness on their part that they've already won this. And so they go, why are you meeting with foreign governments? Why are you meeting with foreign entities? You're a former president. You don't hold a position now. That is not your call to do any of this. So the fact that, and we haven't even gotten to the fact of the trial yet, which we will, but the fact that you're allowed to do these things, and not that he listens when people tells him he can't do things anyway, but the fact that he's been allowed to do these things and there are no repercussions, quite honestly, that's troubling. But the people will speak.
All right.
But that's what my concern is, because you're either all the way in with him or you're all the way out with him. There is no middle ground with someone trying to make a decision of who they're going to vote for right now. I out of my bunches of people, they already know who they're going to vote for. I don't have any undecideds in my groups.
Yeah, even the independents, they already know that. I think it's a farce to say, oh, well, there are people that are still deciding. They are not still deciding. The thing is, he is a despicable individual, and people know he's a despicable individual, even the people that ride with him. So nobody wants to be known as, I'm voting for such and such. It's only the ones who really are unhinged and don't care that will come out and say that. But for the most part, you hear a quietness amongst that. They're not going to admit that they're voting for him. If they are, you'll never get that out of them. So that's where people know who they're voting for at this point.
Okay, so I just want to continue the conversation. There was an interesting article here on Al Jazeera saying, ahead of the presidential debate, how are Harris and 45 preparing? And interesting here about Harris's strategy. Both Harris and 45 campaigns have been mum about the tactics they plan to use for Tuesday debate. After all, airing their strategies in public could blunt their efficacy. But Harris's team appears to be hoping to give 45 a runway to crash his own plane. Her campaign unsuccessfully called for 45's microphone to be unmuted between questions to allow him to speak out of turn. That was a reversal of what Biden's campaign had pushed for in June. Biden's team had hoped a muted microphone would stymie the outburst-prone 45, particularly with no audience in attendance. Instead, quote, it backfired, unquote, according to Call. He believes the silence gave 45 a more staid appearance, one that emphasized Biden's stumbles. Harris's team to be hoping for a repeat of an earlier 45 and Biden debate in Cleveland in 2020. when 45 made numerous interjections that read as chaotic. In turn, Biden was seen to come out on top. However, the Harris campaign's request to keep 45's microphone unmuted was untimely, ultimately denied. Martin Lewandowski, a political science professor at the University of Pennsylvania, said another Harris priority will be to use the debate stage to establish herself with the U.S. public. Harris only launched her presidential campaign 7 weeks ago. She has therefore had far less time in the national spotlight than 45. But critics point to her past debate performance as a positive sign going into Tuesday's event. During the 2020 election cycle, for instance, Harris took part in the presidential primary debates, and she generalized buzz for landing successful punches on her future boss, Biden. She also excelled in policy-heavy presidential debate against Mike Pence during the general election that same year. Harris, the former district attorney of San Francisco and attorney general of California, has a prosecutorial style, something she exercised during her time in the Senate. Her hard-knuckle questions during Senate committee hearings gained her a national profile. Lewandowski says Harris will aim to reprise that role on Tuesday's debate stage. She'll be looking to come off as tough and grill 45 and show she can run reboot about him. Quote, but of course, the danger is for her is that as a woman of color, she's in a tough position giving race and general stereotypes about appropriate behavior, Lewandowski added. Quote, so far she seems very effective managing that tightrope, and this is her chance to highlight these skills on an even larger scale. I'll just read quickly what they say. 45 6 cents. Meanwhile, 45 will be making his 7th appearance in a general election debate, more than any candidate in U.S. history. He continues to be powered by one entrenched factor. According to Perry, he seems impervious to the standards applied to other candidates and their behavior. His base will support him no matter what. Quote, whatever rules there were have become immaterial to him. As you have, ladies, have said, quote, Perry says, quote, he can't be pinned down. He can't be countered because it doesn't matter to the people who are locked in voting for him, unquote. But experts like Perry warn that 45 needs to expand his appeal upon his base in order to win the election in this November. Perry pointed out that 45 only won the presidency in 2026 thanks to the Electoral College, a weighted system where, quote, electors, unquote, are awarded based on state election results. The candidate who wins the most votes in a given state often wins all of those states' electors. In both 2016 and 2020, however, 45 lost the national popular vote, airing fewer votes overall than his Democratic rivals in each case. That means 45 still needs to attract voters outside his staunchest base to ensure victory, according to Perry. On the debate stage, 45, a former reality TV star, excels at, quote, a moving target, unquote, according to Call. The Republican has a knack for trapezing through tangents and launching non-secular attacks that can be confounding to opponents. So we're going to leave that. I could read more of it, but I think that gives you enough to end this one thing. And 45 continues to show uncanny instincts when it comes to capitalizing on camera-ready, politically significant moments, as evidenced by his defiant fist pump following an assassination attempt in July. Quote, he sure made that image that was captured the most politically advantageous to him, unquote. It's, quote, it's the same in debates. He has a spidery sixth sense of knowing when there is a key exchange or a moment in a debate that everyone's going to be talking about and could potentially go viral. I'll leave it at that. Ladies, you have anything else added to what I just shared there about some perspectives?
I already said what I need to say. That man doesn't even need it. If you ask me, he doesn't even need, and nor does he deserve to be on the debate, period. This man has been convicted of 34 counts. And the special privileges that they are giving this man, had it been anybody else, and especially a person of color, he would have never been able to be at this point. So I am really over the fact that he's getting so much privilege. And this is the perfect example of white privilege, especially with people with money, which we all know he ain't got none, but he likes to sit up there and pretend like he does. The power that white people will stand behind, regardless of what's not all. Let me clarify what I just said, because there are definitely pure MAGA people. There are differences. And we saw differences when it came to the DNC, where people from the other side who care about our country more than they do party came out and spoke about their truths. Okay. But the fact that this man is still able to run for president of my country with so much hate and so much lies and so much criminality is disgusting to me.
Media needs to be very careful of how they're saying things. And, reading these, the assessments and accounts, they'll go to such and such political science professor at such and such. And that's a very academic view of things. So the point is, she's just good, regardless of what her background is, a person of color. Let's just look at her record in general. She's just good. Okay. She has proven over and over that she's good at what she does. So the fact, well, exactly. But the fact that media outlets will keep bringing up just as you said, navigating the woman of color thing and the appropriate behavior. I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say it. That's what keeps, quote, people of color in their place. The fact that there is supposed to be appropriate behavior. And I would say that's even extended to Democrats as a whole, right? Not that every person of color is a Democrat. That's not what I'm saying. But the side that is on the side of right, and there is always a right and wrong when it comes to these types of things. And in this case, the side of right is trying to preserve this union, trying to uplift the country, trying to unite the country. That is the side of right. There is clearly a candidate who is not on the side of right. And
never has been.
And never has been on the side of right, right? He's on his side. Okay. He's on his side at all times. So that very fact shows that there is a right and wrong, and media needs to get it right. And this is interesting. I was interviewing somebody on Be More who was at the NABJ, who was a journalist who was there, and we talked about this. And she made Anna Deshawn, she made the comment that from the time we were little, we're taught that there is a right and wrong. And there is always a right and wrong. But in the case of media, sometimes there tends to be a maybe. And we need to stop with that. If somebody is wrong, they're just carte blanche wrong. And we need to say that. Media needs to stop injecting some of these things because that also has an opinion. That also forms opinion in the public mind of who a candidate is as well. Especially in the age of partisan politics and shows that cater to partisan politics. So media needs to be careful. I'll say that.
Well, I'll tell you, this week it was very interesting because there was a Fox anchor that really called him out on his BS. He literally said to Trump, I'm tired of it. You keep lying to us. We keep trying to protect you and you keep lying to us. And I feel like that is a positive turn in some ways, because we all have to be careful what media we're watching. I don't strictly watch CNN. I don't strictly watch MSNBC. I don't even look at Fox because Lord Jesus help me. But I will look at a lot of international things because I will get the real truth outside of what America is pumping into your living rooms and making you angry about. When you look at what the world is looking at and what the world is reporting, you're going to get the truth. Well, you may not always get 100%. You surely going to get about 90% of it. And what the world is really thinking about our country right now. That is what concerns me more than anything else. Because you see, when other countries who wish demise upon us, they see when we're weak, they see an opportunity to come in and attack, which they're already starting to plan and already starting to do. There was a lot of African bigwigs that went to China for some big summit. And China was like, here's our message to you. You partner with us. We all know that China, Russia, all those places are gearing together to even in money. So when they start talking about money and making money universal for them and trading for them, we are in danger. So it's not just that. They're trying to see who's going to be the head of America. And if you noticed, Putin actually came out and was like, we're kind of pulling for Harris. And that made Trump lose his mind. It was also, to me, like a throw off. So it's more detailed than what we're talking about here. This is bigger than any debate. This is bigger than any election. This is big for our country in the fact that, are we a superpower or are we not? Because right now in the world, we are not.
Really quickly, if I may.
Well, just stop saying really quickly. Take your time.
Well, because I know that sometimes we need to move on to things.
No, I will give you the signal if we need to move on.
Okay, I don't want to be the one to belabor the point.
No, go ahead.
I think that you brought up something very interesting when you brought up the summit that the African leaders were at, and we're talking about looking at Russia, looking at China as powers, obviously, and really trying to leverage other countries so that they could get more power, right? To the chagrin of the US. And so really, I'm cautioning, especially as an African myself, I'm cautioning African countries to make sure you're on the right side of this. Make sure you are on the right side of this. That doesn't mean you get all involved, but let's be honest that what happens in the US really does have an effect on what happens in the rest of the world, because it is deemed a superpower, right? Things are done, even though the dollar is losing in importance, it still has importance. So our currency is still important. Our foreign policy is still important. So when you have to watch what happens here in terms of how you move in the rest of the world. That doesn't mean it determines how you move, but you take it into consideration. So while you're being courted, and we all know, I'm going to say it here, we know that some of those other people that are coming towards African countries, we'll give you money for your capital projects. They're doing it to also, usurp minerals and things so be careful, but also be careful of who you align yourself with in this whole thing.
Well, so a few things as you're talking about the China-Africa summit tomorrow, live at 5 p.m. on Black Canada Talking. That's one of the subjects that Sidar Nadima Musa is going to be talking about. And Cesar is a bona fide Pan-Africanist.
Yes.
So he will be chatting about that also. I think that Ms. Harris is in trouble based on especially this comment. No fact checking is going to be allowed during the debate. Is that a good thing or a not good thing?
I'm not worried about her.
No. See, the whole lack of fact checking thing, let's be real. And I saw this somewhere that in real life, when these things happen, you don't have a fact checker that's running around behind you. To be honest, the fact checking is to make sure that a 140, one who calls himself 45 is not telling half truths or whatever. And I think that people are making this out to be more doomsday than it really is. Okay, so there are no fact checkers there. But what happens the day after a debate? The fact checkers come out and things then unfold. So I don't think that not having live fact checking in the moment is the death of the whole thing. Not at all. To the contrary, it gives time to ensure that you have accurate facts when you do come out and say, well, no, this was not 100% true. And here's the thing. So I don't think fact checking live in the moment, I think it slows down the debate in a sense, if that is taken into account. We already know he's not going to be factual. He is very consistent in that he is a consistent liar. He is not going to be
the only consistency.
That's the only time he's consistent. So the fact that there's no fact checking, he's been giving alternative facts all along. So it's not her necessarily we have to worry about. Now, to the extent, on Harris's side, to the extent that some of these things are as large or critical as is stated, that's another thing, because that's also another side of fact checking, which should be done for all candidates involved. However, we already know he's going to lie. He lies all the time. He always lies. So fact checking in the moment, there's not going to be enough time to fact check everything that he is going to be untruthful about. I don't think it's a killer at all.
And matter of fact, the fact checking would take over the whole debate as much as he lies.
Exactly. There would be no debate.
Oh my goodness. So what's a bigger concern to your lens? Because both you are Harris supporters. What's a bigger concern? Not being able to fact check or the not be able to unmute microphone? Or either
I'm not worried about either. Because we already said we're going to see his body language. We already know that. I don't need, like I told you, I hear him in my sleep. I hear him everywhere I go. I know what his script is.
You need to get a better life, young lady.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. If somebody mentions his name, I know exactly what he's saying. And it's always negative and it's always bad. So we know his key phrases, right? We all know his key phrases. So I'm not worried about any of that. And matter of fact, it is good maybe that the mics are muted so that you can focus on what is actually being said.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because he's going to show his unhingedness, which is not a word, but he's going to show it anyway.
Dr. Tachi, every time you're live with us, you come up with a new word. When's your dictionary coming up? When's your dictionary being released?
You've got I'm going to make you some t-shirts.
Well,
that's a good idea. And I already have a t-shirt line.
Yeah, she has a t-shirt line. So there you go right there.
Yeah.
So all this is leading up to something that's happening this Tuesday, family. So this Tuesday, we are having a live watch party in real time with the debate with Ms. Harris, 45. So the debate's going to be on wherever you're watching this. As long as you're watching this before September 10th, 2024, before 10:30 p.m., but between 9 p.m. and 10:30 Eastern, we are going to have, these are our scheduled guests. So from my left to right on the top, Aisha K. Staggers, LaLa Key, Jill Jones, Ms. Jill Jones, and Dr. Tachi. And then the bottom row, Wayne Harris, who's on my Morning Vibe show once a month, Ryan Knight from ACBN, and Cesar Nadima Musa. Now, the fun thing is, yes, we have African queens and African kings. The queens are all from the United States. The kings are all from Canada.
I love it.
Yeah. To have a true international conversation about the debate. So again, please, if you are around, tell your family, because this is probably going to be one of the most significant, at least political events for a number of years. And not only just in North America, but globally. This is going to have global impact for years to come. So, ladies, what are your thoughts about this watch party? Are you excited?
I'm excited to be my first time. I've never done a watch party.
And you know, I always say this. I try to be as non-political as possible because it could just work your nerves and take you to a place you don't want to go.
Like
why I don't do Exactly. So, but I think it's important to participate in this process. I definitely do have an opinion on this, so I'm excited to share that, and not just the opinions, but the facts of the matter.
Mm-hmm. Aisha gonna be ready.
And Jill Jones. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Jill Jones has not been on our platform for a long time. Now, the funny thing is, Jill may get mad at me at this, but the last time Jill was on the platform and it was political was the last election, last presidential. And do you remember this, LaLa?
Yes.
Okay. What happened?
It was hot.
No,
it was beyond hot.
And Jill was, and these were the early returns because Mr. Biden won eventually, but the early returns were showing that 45 was going to win. Jill got so upset she left the broadcast. She was so, and she had some words for a certain group, cultural group, saying, "I'll never support you again. I'll never." And it was crazy. It was crazy. It was nuts. But I think it'll be maybe a little bit more control this time. But I think I have 7 of the most wonderful people that I know together. I'm praying that it's behavioral to a certain extent, but if it isn't, hey, we're just gonna go with the flow. So, as we say, again, September 10th, 9 p.m. Eastern, wherever you're watching this, and all the participants who come on, if they can put it on their channels too, and I'm going to encourage them to do that, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. So, as a famous pastor said, get ready, get ready, get ready. So, we're going to come back in 30 seconds, take a break, and we're going to continue how 45 seems to be escaping any political challenges. So we're going to come back in 30 seconds. Keep it locked. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
But you still got to give him the respect that he has been doing this a long time.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Nobody's talking about that. Aisha, that's pretty powerful.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, and that's why we're here, to stay ahead of the headlines. So, next headline. Judge delays 45 sentencing in hush money case until after the November election. What is that all about? Oh, my.
So,
okay, go ahead. I didn't even ask. Dr. Tachi's in already. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I usually like to defer to the regular hosts on this before I speak.
No, you're a regular.
Go right in.
Don't even go there. You are a regular. Keep on going.
So this is in terms of what I read, and I can see some modicum of truth in this, that and then I'll give my feeling that the request was made, right? Obviously, the person that is the prosecutor in this case is a Democrat, and they know this. And in order to avoid looking like this is political, that's why that decision was made, to make sure that it was done after the election. Now, let me speak as me. I can understand why that was done. And I do see this, but this is the thing. It's always one side that is kowtowing to look fair, and the other side doesn't give a damn how they look. There is no way. I don't care if there's an election going on or not. It doesn't matter. You were indicted on 34 counts of stuff. You did something. You did something. And the whole thing with this hush money case, you did something, even though he's denying that he even knows this person. So what's that money to her for? You didn't know? Okay, whatever. So he did something. If you do something wrong, you need to be punished and prosecuted for it under no uncertain terms. But this slippery lizard keeps getting away with everything. And that's the troubling thing here, because it sends a troubling message, right? That if you are a despicable individual that has deep enough pockets, or friends with deep enough pockets, or people that want to see the downfall of things, you could get away with anything. And that's very troubling. He absolutely, I don't care, election or not, withstanding, this needs to be taken care of expediently. However, on their side, I could see why they don't want this to look as if it is a political move. So they're treading carefully and treading lightly. But if you ask me, I don't care. Like your mother said, your mother would say, I don't care who that is. I don't care what you did. I don't care unless it's Jesus coming back. You're going to be punished for whatever it is. We need to use that same energy, keep that same energy with him.
Can I just say ditto?
Okay.
I'm tired. I'm really tired. It's happened over and over and over. And there have been times where I have gotten my hopes up that justice would be served, and it was never served. So I keep thinking about how our communities, had this been anybody else other than him, we would be under the jail. If they could, they'd hang us up by the ropes once again, because that's what they want to make America great about again, is going back to those times. But yet you have people who are proudly walking around talking about, I'm going to vote for the felon. What in the hell? Had this been anyone else, this would have not been the circumstance whatsoever. So it's very disheartening. I do understand why it's being done, because Lord knows they would have come out with all the guns talking about, now they're trying to do something to the election and blah, blah. No, that was your party. You only worried about what you've done in your side. That's why you're so afraid of someone else doing this to you. You try to hide what you've done with loudspeakers. So I'm very disappointed in this whole thing. I understand why it's being done, but once again, I defer to, there shouldn't be any reason this man should be running in the first place. Should be automatic knocked out.
But I said a long time ago, I don't think we'll ever see this gentleman in jail, and I'm still saying I don't think he'll ever be in jail.
I know you do, Dr. Vibe, and I always hear you. I don't want you to think that I don't hear you, but my heart doesn't want to hear you, because I always want to feel that our country has some kind of honor, and I have to hold on to that. Or else, why would I be fighting so hard? Why would I be sitting, even talking to you and discussing with you and our audience things that are going on in our country if I give up all the way? I've got to believe that we are going to come back to some type of moral center. And I don't know what that's going to take. And I don't know if that's going to be seen in my lifetime. I don't know if that's something that my grandchildren, which I don't have any, but my great nieces and nephews will get. All I know, as for me and my house, I am an American. And I will always be an American. And no matter how effed up America can be, I still stand for my country. And so I have to believe that something will be done, or else I give up all hope on my country.
Well said. Well said. There's despite everything, and despite the fact that every day I'm like, this country is going to hell in a handbasket, and it's already there. Despite the fact that I say that every day, it's kind of like, yeah, I can say that. Because I'm here on a daily basis to see the rubbish and see the thing. It's like somebody talking about Nigeria. I'll talk about Nigeria all day long, but other people can't. You can't talk about Nigeria, right? So it's that whole thing of needing to hold on to something. You have to. You cannot live in a country and believe that there is no hope. I mean, Dr. Vibe, I'm not Canadian, even though I grew up on the border. I'm not Canadian, but imagine this be happening in Canada. I can't ever, but imagine this happening in Canada, and the fact that you would have no hope that the choices are democracy or dictatorship. That's what we're faced up against now. So there has to be this fight. There has to be this belief. I very much believe in manifestation. When you put things out into the air, they manifest. So you have to manifest hope and faith and goodness. That's just on another level. But yeah, so you have to believe, like LaLa is like, you have to believe because there is no choice.
Is 45 above the law?
I'd like to think nobody is, but right now I have to say he seems to be.
He is not above the law. Okay, sorry, tropics. He is not.
I get it. The no seems to get
you. If I can get that as an outtake one day, I gotta do that. But go on.
Feel free. These tropics. Yeah. He is not above the law, but here's the thing. It's not even about him. I think sometimes we're missing the entire point. It is not about him per se. It is about an ideology that keeps certain groups of people first. And if he is the test case for being above the law, so can all of them. Does that make sense? So it's less about him and more about upholding this system that has been ingrained. And by the way, America was built on to keep certain people first at all times. And if these certain people can skirt the laws and be above the laws, if I can put people in courts so that I can skirt the laws, well, then guess what? This test case has been successful, and all people in that same class of individual can do that. So not about him. It's about a cohort of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So does 45, especially with him skirting the law, just amplify a system that's just been in existence for hundreds of years in America?
Yes.
Yes.
This
From the
system,
very beginning.
yes. Painfully broken. It was built. Listen, this
Part.
country.
I know what you're going to say. This part. Say it, Dr. Tachi, say it.
This part. This country was predicated and built on the fact of, now, in order to have an upper class, you have to have a lower class. I can't have too many people in the upper class because then there's not enough for me. And I think as a member of the upper class that I'm entitled to everything. Never mind that there's enough for everybody. Nope, I'm entitled to everything. So it's entitled to everything. There's a sense of entitlement that we deserve because of birthright and who we are. We deserve everything, all of it. None for you. You're not deserving, only us. Therefore, I have to put in place a system that ensures you remain on the bottom and fool you.
Forget that you've already been here.
Never mind that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And fools you into thinking you deserve to be on the bottom because of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Because you, that it fools you into believing that, and you'll use organized religion, you'll use terror, you'll use anything to ensure that you stay on top. It's very simple.
Ditto.
So let me play out this scenario then. If 45 wins the election, will we ever see him in jail?
No. They're going to make everything center around him and make the new precedent, because there's not been a precedent before for this. This will be the new protocol for anything else that ever happens. But don't forget, he's already told you, you won't have to vote again once he gets in, because that's a pesky little detail about running a country. This pesky voting, you don't need that.
First of all, let's be clear. He's running for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's the type of person, he's a colonizer. He's the type of person that has to colonize every space that he's in and conquer every space that he's in. And when he's conquered what he's already working on, he has to go to, that's the only way he had the real audacity to run in the first place. Who told you could run? But that's that audacity, right? To think that I could. So that's one thing, to conquer and colonize. That's one thing. Secondly, this man does not want to go to prison. Okay. So he's thinking, if he wins, slim chance that he wins, he will be able to bypass all of this nonsense and rise above, because they stacked the courts, they did all sorts of things. So, but there are loopholes in there. As I've started to read, I'm like, it feels like there's some loopholes and things in there. They didn't really do their due diligence in terms of that. I'll leave it there. But yeah.
We're going to be seeing things that we've never seen before, period, historically, all the way across the board, period. Yes. So we don't know what to expect for this, because there isn't anything set to go by for this. So if that happens, which my little heart says it's not, because I know we're fighting tooth and nail, and I don't believe in polls. I don't get into those. I know they're running neck and neck in each polls. But see, when you get too comfortable on polls, then you get too comfortable and you might not vote. So you need to vote like this is your life, because it is. And that's not a scare tactic. That literally is true. If you're not down with what the other side is, whatever side you're in, you got to get out to the polls, period. and be very vigilant about making sure that you are registered to vote, because there are some shenanigans right now going on. I am a registered voter in Florida, and I check our votes every week. And guess what? My husband's got kicked off the roll for no reason at all. So we had to go back in, get him re-registered again. There was no reasons. He's voted in all of the primaries and all of the local elections. So I'm telling you from experience, you need to check weekly about your vote, because we are entering into something that is completely unprecedented, and it's not good for our country.
Especially if your state has a diabolical governor like Florida does.
Ouch. All right. And we'll leave it at that. We'll go for another break. I think we'll go for another break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about one of LaLa's favorite individuals. She has a lot of favorites these days. She has a lot of favorites.
Wonder who.
Well, let's talk about a platform that represents one letter. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
People are expecting Obama-level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
There's no way that Trump is going to debate her.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. I always have to run that clip until at least Tuesday to see.
We'll see.
Yeah, again, another reminder. Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, 9 p.m. Myself and these two people and four other people going to have a live watch party in regards to the Harris 45 debate. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're watching this, that's what we're going to be doing it. Tell your friends about it, because it's we've got the ladies, the African queens from the United States, and the African kings from Canada. So there we go. All right, next conversation topic. This is, man, another one of Elon Musk draws fire with AI video of Ms. Harris.
The amount of times I have to pray every single day over myself from these people is absolutely ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Jesus is probably tired of me calling his name every day.
Well, do you want to give some background on this story?
I do.
Okay, please do.
This idiot who thinks that he is above absolutely everything and that he is some kind of God decides that, he's also in the AI game. The rules of Twitter and many other platforms are you're not allowed to use you'll be banned for using AI and especially in this political season. What does he do? He does exactly that. He puts together a video with Vice. Let me make this very clear, because I read a wonderful article that said, do not just call her Kamala. That's too personal. You need to respect her office. She is Vice President Kamala Harris. So what he does is he does a video with her voice saying things that are absolutely despicable and lies. And he puts it on his platform and he labels it satire. So that is how he says he's getting around that wasn't true. He actually puts her in a Kremlin outfit with the Russian thing on top of her head. She's all dressed in red. And this video broke his own terms of his own platform. But then again, what's the key word to that? It's his platform. So he does whatever the hell he wants to do. He put up, it was viewed 100 million times before it was taken down, or if it was taken down and put back up, I don't know, because I do not fool around with X much anymore. And remember, this is a dangerous thing. And many people have come out on both sides who have said this is beyond dangerous. This is exactly what we did not want to use AI for. There are many Bay Area in California politicians who are moving very rapidly to make this actually against the law, period. And some of the major players in Congress are also moving forward to make this a federal thing, because this is very dangerous. Let's not forget that there were calls that went out that sounded like Biden in this last year when Biden was running and they were doing the primaries, that fooled people into thinking that they did not have to go and vote. So the things like this are on very dangerous terms, especially when you have videos that look real and sound real, and you're using 11 labs. Yes, I called 11 labs because that's pretty much what everyone is using. I'm pretty sure he has ties with that as well, of her saying false things. This is very dangerous. He should be punished for this. But, hey, he's in bed with all of them too. Everybody thinks, he licks ice cream all day. And I'm really tired of the fact that this can go on when people want to pick and choose what they want to. Now, here's a simple example. I went in to make a real fun video, not a video, a graphic. And I said, that looks like a political figure and just a little crybaby thing, if y'all understand what I was going to do with that. And I wasn't allowed to do that on Midjourney. And Midjourney said during the political season that they would not allow anyone to create any images that had anything to do with political or looks like political people. Well, Musk is up against all those. So he has his own. So he's using his own internal things to do this. So what's to say he's not doing other things that he's not posting, but allowing other people to get away with? Danger, Will Robinson, danger. America, you in trouble, girl.
If you've seen the image, I don't know how many are floating around, but there's one particular one that I saw from The Hill, I believe. It doesn't even look like her.
No.
I'm like, who is this? Because it's not Vice President Harris.
No. But they like to notice everything is satire, but they like to project what they see about us into these images.
Exactly.
So it's like the old Sambo things. Remember that from Looney Tunes and all that stuff, guys? Yeah. If they could portray us that way. If you've noticed, there's more blackface coming back. There's more things coming back out that we used to guess about now, because it was not correct to do this, things that we grew up in 70s. I went all the way up to 70s, y'all, 70s and some of 80s with some of these cartoons and stuff about us and looking like us, and not just our community. You're talking about Asian communities and everything else. So we have to be aware that they're bringing this back as into a norm of what they think about us.
Absolutely. And then when you get your tail beat up and down the street, please don't say anything. I'm just saying. Some people are not the ones. You're going to run into the wrong one day and then wonder why your nose is on the other side of your face. Anyway, so.
And that coupled with the fact that they keep saying that she slept her way to the top.
That's impossible. That's impossible. Well, see, those are tactics to try and denigrate and discredit her in the eyes of the public. But that's all. In fact, it's a very sad existence. It must be really sad to be sub-mediocre, because this is what sub-mediocre people do. When you cannot win on your own merits, you are not intelligent enough, you don't have the talent, you don't have the guts or the moxie. What all you have is to resort to tricks, because that's the only way you can win. That's a sad existence. In fact, if I were the GOP, I would be livid that the only way you think you can win is through tricks. That means you don't deserve to be there in the first place. You are sub-mediocre. And I'm saying this, and I'm going on record, that whole cohort of individuals are sub-mediocre. They could never. This is why, let's even go back to Ketanji Brown Jackson and the whole not wanting to confer and add, oh, well, you have a lot of, she swims circles around any of them that were on the, the level of education she has is 100 times more, and know-how, political know-how, law know-how of the law is 100 times more than any of those people. And that's exactly what they hate. And here's the thing, you're angry and upset. Now, you've told people of color and you've shown them and us that we have to be 10 million times better in order to just survive, just to be. So guess what? We become 10 million times better. We become,
and guess what? Getting rid of DEI ain't going to help, because you know what that means? We know how to work that much more harder. You can keep on with this DEI and trying to get all of our history taken out of books. That just makes us greater, because we're going to force, and we're going to be able to tell our children within our own homes and tell them and get our own communities back together to help them get to the next level. We have to be 50 times better than you, and you can't stand it.
Exactly. And so we end up being 10 million, 50, whatever times better. And now you're mad. But I'm sorry, you set up the metric that we had to be better. That meant you never met up to the metric yourself. And now
you false narrative, they just made it on DEI.
No, we made it because we're 10 million. You forced us to be 10 million times better. So now we're there. And I'm saying this as someone who has taught at several different types of institutions, PWIs, Hispanic serving, HBCUs, and I'm not comparing the students, but I look at my HBCU students, I'm like, oh, they got it. And that's not to say that they're better, but what is the one thing? They've had to be 10 million times better because we had less funding. Many of them came from disadvantaged backgrounds, so they knew they had to work harder and be more excellent than. And they ended up being that, but now you're upset. You made this system. Be excellent. Instead of being angry at the other for being excellent and taking what you perceive to be yours, it was never yours in the first place because you didn't earn it and didn't deserve it. Be excellent. It is not our fault that you're mediocre.
Ditto.
Okay. Anything else you want to say on this one, family?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I am very sick of people justifying wrong with something they feel like is a good thing. Now, in this case, what I've actually heard many times this week, oh, but he's sending that spaceship to get those 2 astronauts. It's because I don't care what he's doing on that side. What he doing on this side? There 2 things can be true at one time. You can be a dog, rough, and you can be a hero, rough, meow. If you want to do that, but the whole thing is you're giving them the power to do that. And so, no, I don't care that he's sending a spaceship to get these astronauts. Yay, thank you. I need them to come home. But that does not negate all of the nasty negativeness that you are doing to our communities, especially when you yourself think this is some joke. He calls himself an African American because he knows that makes people rile up. And then, of course, all the people who are against our community are, see, he's an African American. He's African American. Look, he's African American. Yeah, give me a break.
He is an African colonizer. Don't get me started. This is a whole other show. To me, he will never be South African. That is a whole other show. He will never be South African. He is part of a cohort of South African colonizers. There is a difference. So I'm not surprised that he comes out and behaves this way because he already sees Black people as less than, because you came from a society where you all did that to the real South Africans. Okay.
And I want y'all to know he's already putting his poison in Portugal. I want you to know that. He's already been over here searching for land. I know real estate. That's why I'm always back and forth, right? This man has already been down in the Algarve looking for land to see what poison he can plant here.
One last thing about X and Muskrat. What we need to be aware of. It's all well and good and fine to talk about what he's doing. I'm not surprised. None of this surprises me. Again, sub-mediocre people can only win through denigration. They can never win on their own merit because they don't have any talent. He has proven that over and over again. You have a truck with indestructible windows during the show and you threw a metal ball at it and they broke. You're sub-mediocre. So,
and y'all still buying it.
Yeah, exactly. So, number one, the fact that you're sending something into space, he's only been to the edge of space. Let's remember, he has not been into space, only to the edge. So this is a big chance and risk, but yes, we need them to come home. That's one thing. But also for all of us that, we can talk the talk, but do you drive a Tesla? Are you still using X? Are you using any product? Because using these products is indirectly or directly funding that hate. It's like eating at Chick-fil-A when you know that they give money to anti-LGBTQIA plus causes. And you can say, well, I'm not LGBTQIA plus, but guess what? It's an ism. And where there's one isms, there are usually others. So tomorrow it's going to be you.
They ain't seen my face in I don't know how many long years. They can keep their chicken.
Tomorrow it's going to be you. They'll give money against this cause today. Tomorrow it will be you. So, when it comes to those types of things, you have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to walk the walk, as they say, not just talking about it, do it. If you, and this is one thing, Kenny Burns, the radio personality, etc., from Atlanta, he had a Tesla. He sold his Tesla because he said, I am not going to add to any of this by keeping this Tesla. So those are the things you have to look at as well. You may think it's not a big deal, but it is. You are directly contributing to all of that if you continue to patronize the things he does.
And that goes for any other company. I mean, there are many companies that I do not shop and do not buy at all. I haven't been to the SB for coffee and I don't know how long, and I will walk past it and go to a mom and pop in a heartbeat.
And all the people that are like, okay, when this whole anti-DEI thing came by, the cowards that said, oh, well, we're getting rid of our whole thing. Take note of who these people are, because they don't think enough about you to make sure that you are part of their company. Why are you buying their XYZ? That's just me.
Well, I think we're on so much roll. I'm going to take another break. We're going to take another break because you ladies are on fire, and I think you need to get some oxygen because you're on such an incredible pace. So we'll be back after another quick break, and we'll continue the epic conversations on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Aisha's not with us tonight, but Dr. Tachi is. So we're all good. Here we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
Where is your getting out there and doing everything that needs to be done to get this man in office? Because I don't see it.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Only when it fits their benefit.
Exactly.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. And we're staying ahead of the headlines, and we're just staying ahead. We are back on Primetime Saturday, having a lot of fun as always. And our next conversation piece, with charges and sanctions, U.S. takes aim at Russian, what a surprise, Russian disinformation ahead of the upcoming election.
Are we surprised? Are we surprised? What people don't understand is how serious this is, because people don't do their research. And you feel like sometimes if you go to a website, you get lulled into this misconception a lot of the times that it is a reliable source. So there were 32 internet domains that were seized. They were compromised with Russia. Russia was helping to put out over 2,000 videos that were put out on this. And of course, they're all going to lean toward the Trump camp because that's what they want. This was a Tennessee-based company, but it was an online company. And the company's name is actually Tenet. was finally released, because some of the reports didn't say who the name was. They were just saying a company. But it's called Tenet Media, and they were online based, and they had to be taken down. But you have to understand that that doesn't mean that they haven't done the damage. The videos are out there. The conspiracy people believe those, that people have downloaded them and re-upload them. You know, you don't just share links anymore, guys. You can download any video that you want to and speed it up and whatever you want to get past any kind of hoopla that they don't want you to do. And they repost this madness. So how much you want to bet this story pretty much will be buried after this? We won't hear any more about it. But yet the information from those 2,000 videos will still continue to live through these internet waves. As they say, Beyonce's internet.
Yeah, 100%. Ditto to her as well. This is not anything new. This country has been interfering in the elections since before the Cold War. This is not new. And it's not news. What is new is that we've taken things like civics out of schools, so we don't understand how government works, and we're liable to fall for anything because we don't understand how government works. What's new is that information is so pervasive and available to us, both good, bad, inaccurate, and factual, is available to us. If we want to look up something right now, we can and get the answer. But we have not been taught proper research. And so that's a problem. That's a problem. When you look at it, let's take it to the level of schools. They are not taught proper research often because there is no time to do that. And so these, especially in public school systems, they're crunched for time and funding. And so a lot of little things like the critical thinking skills needed to determine whether this is a real source or not fall through the cracks. And that's problematic. So now you have people that end up coming up in these, because again, remember, some of these people that were young when Obama got in office in 2008, they're like well past voting age and things now, right? But we're talking, if we just look at that as a time frame and not having civics and things in the schools and not understanding how to use media criticism to pull out the right sources, you're taking this all the way up into your voting years. And that's a problem. So let me put this out there to everyone. When you see a story that comes across social media, first of all, stop sending it to me, especially if it's nonsense and you haven't researched it. I don't want it. But firstly, research it. Look for agreement. Are there at least, you should look at 4 sources for that type of thing. If you put it on into a search and nothing else comes up with that, and maybe one other obscure one, you need to question, is this happening? Is this real? Who are these individuals? What is the motive here? Wait, just like I wait before I report on someone who has passed, I want to wait and make sure that this is actually the news, see agreement and other news sources, then I say something, because it is better to be right than first. So I'm putting this out there to everyone. Before ever you share anything or believe anything, you need to read at least 4 different sources on this. I used to say 3, this world it's 4. I need you to look at 4 different news sources, look for agreement. Of course, you're going to report things in different ways, but it should be the same. It should be about the same thing. Usually, that is going to be enough. And don't just go to the same ones all the time. As LaLa was saying, take a look at Al Jazeera, take a look at BBC, take a look at some of these outside of the US, these foreign news agencies, and see what they have to say about it as well. So I just want to put that out there. I'm challenging you all to be literate now when it comes to this.
You know.
But why? But people don't make the time because they probably don't have the time.
No, you have the time to go get your nails done. You have the time to watch the basketball game. You have the time. You just don't want to do it, or you don't make it a priority. So then you can't sit and say anything when things don't go the way they're supposed to because you haven't taken the time to do it. I don't accept that as an excuse. You have the time. You just don't want to do it because you make the time for other foolishness.
Yeah. Like you watch all the reality shows, don't you? You want to talk about what some people are doing. Okay.
Knows
you want to
that
worry about the
Mimi
stars
Beats
and
is
who's
gone.
on there you go. The dating shows and the dating naked and the who's sleeping with who and Tyrese and y'all got all that time for that, don't you?
So, oh my gosh. But hey, fake news.
That he created. If you go back to the real source of that, he created that by feeding the media what he wanted to. The orange one. The orange one did this. And now he cries fake news.
Anything else you want to say on this one, ladies? We're good.
Watch yourself. Please make sure that please make sure you go check yourself because honestly, it's that important.
Check sources, and then again, before you stay in your lane. Why are you commenting on things that are not necessarily your lane? I am not a political commentator. I have a fair amount of knowledge, but you're not going to find me constantly putting things out there and share because that is not my lane. So it's amazing to me, all these people who suddenly become political scientists who share everything, but that's not this is not your lane. Why are you doing that? And you haven't fully researched that. So if you know this is not your wheelhouse, stay out of it.
Yeah, but
stay out. Don't share it.
But with the advent of things like this and social media, people now feel that they can be their own independent news source.
You can be an independent news source, but can you be a right independent news source?
Ooh.
And that's important. And I'm glad that you said that because honestly, this week, people are so desperate to become internet stars with the things such as you don't even have to have your face on stuff now anymore. You could just say anything that you want to. The more views that you get, the more comments that you get, the more of a positive reinforcement of getting paid for some of these platforms is. I literally just in these last 2 days, just scrolling by on Facebook, there were 2 very wrong stories that both celebrity related, just enough for clickbait. You know, it's clickbait. But the things that they were saying were 1000% wrong only because you see now people will come in and say, this is wrong. How dare you post this? Well, guess what? I got engagement from you now. So the more that I post things that enrage you or push you for engagement, that even if they're wrong, I'm still being rewarded. So we must be conscious of the things that are being put out there because they're not always for your information. It could be for someone's pockets, very simply.
So taking it back to where we started about the subject about disinformation, governments know this. Maybe
yes, they do.
And governments who may not be supporting the United States know this, so they're using it to their play.
Yeah, and then of course America gets dumb. You got people who keeps calling a TikTok tickety tock. They still don't know that. You blaming them, but Mark is doing the same thing with Instagram and Reels and all this stuff. Same thing, but you know he had the money to go up to Congress and make it a big deal. So and now with his stupidity coming out talking about Biden made him take down stuff. No, he didn't. No, he didn't even make you do nothing. So, you know, I mean, he's chosen his side. So what side do you think he's going to fall on and allow to be pushed on his platform? The same as, I love this, Muskrat. I love that. Because Muskrat doesn't have no love for me. Remember, there was a song about that. But, you
who sung that song?
Captain Antonio.
I was going to say that. Yes.
Must be Muskrat.
Daryl Dragon and Tony Tennille. There we go. All right, let's see what's going on here. Frequency Event Promotion says, greetings, says Dr. Vibe, all is fine like red and white wine. And
Wow.
Dr. Tachi says she's glad to see a frequency event promotions. And he says, I'm glad you're doing good, Dr. Tachi. There you go. There we go. All right. Let's have our last conversation piece tonight. And I think it tags along. We're talking about media coverage, but racism and how the media reports on violent incidents. And this tags along to the unfortunate mass killing or shooting that happened in Florida earlier on this week. And Aisha, who's not with us this week, she wanted to bring this up. She goes, how media reports on violent incidents. A Georgia reporter tweeted a picture of one of the kids killed in that mass shooting, an autistic black boy as the shooter, and tagged him with the shooter's name. When called out, they deleted the post, but did not print a retraction or apologize. The shooter was a white boy who threatened to shoot up the school before.
And
So
in fact, I
go
saw
ahead.
the exact same thing. And I told my husband, I said, oh my God, baby. I said, there was a little black boy. And that's the first one that I saw. So that information immediately, just within our own house, was talking about the horror of this happening. You know, you cannot just put up anybody's picture, but they tend to do this a lot with our communities. And the fact that they were not called out about this or had to do any kind of retraction speaks volumes. How many times, once again, has that been was recirculated before the truth came out? Once again, another tragedy that's happening in our schools. These babies just started school. They didn't even have a good week in school before this happened. So, you know, I can continue to talk about how we deal with school shootings, but what's the point? Because nothing is being changed. But we do have to demand that when things like this happen, that the truth be printed immediately and not false information. And you never know when they put up false pictures and things like that. People are angry and they're out on a hunt and they see that person, or if someone who did survive that is in pretty much danger because they put the misinformation up. And we've seen cases like that as well.
Does anyone know, have they printed a retraction yet?
No.
That's libel.
Yeah. No, I went before our show. I was digging as deep as I could to see if I could even get anything on that. Nothing.
Even if they had it and there was, you know how they have the description in small print, even that is problematic because most people are not reading the small print. They're looking at the photo. And so, yeah, Ben Crump, I hope you're listening, because that's definitely, that could be libel. That's libelous. Again, you have to prove intent, but that's a whole other thing. I think that there has always been a problem. And this is interesting because I saw this on either TikTok or Instagram. I saw it on Instagram, but it was from TikTok. And there was a young creator who was talking about this very thing and how the conversation is never about how white parents are raising their white children. Because by and large, these mass shootings are done by white men and white boys. And that's not being addressed. So it's just a tragedy, or this is a lone wolf, or it's a troubled person. And it's never a culture, right? It's never a culture of the way these individuals are raised. However, let's take where LaLa says, but if it was us, when it is reporting on us, it is always our fault. Mm-hmm. It is always because we are somehow inherently genetically flawed that this happened. Never.
But look at what else they added. This ties exactly to what you're saying, Dr. Tachi. Look at immediately what they said. Oh, this is a troubled autistic teen. Mm-hmm. You've already put that information out there. Had it been one of our boys, you would not have tagged that. You would have not said that at all. And probably would have been days and months before that information would have come out.
Exactly.
So you see how it's biased immediately, not just with the
Right.
photos, but how it is described and how they are treated afterwards.
Because it is a function of them. When this happens to non-melanated, when non-melanated communities go out and shoot up things, it is a function of something else. It is an external locus of control. It is because, oh, this person is troubled, or this person. So it is not seen as inherent and genetic. With us, it is because it is inherent and genetic, and that is the problem. It is a characteristic of being Black, but this is never seen as a characteristic of being white. And that's what that young lady was talking about. And it's interesting because it's never talked about, because it's interesting. It's like, okay, yeah, why is it always non-melanated people shooting up things and doing these mass shootings? Not to say that
anytime we do anything, we're a mob.
Right, exactly. So why is it that nobody is addressing that? Because this is a serious problem. At this point, it's a public health issue, because this is listed as a public health issue, right? With the Department of Health, this is definitely a public health crisis. The fact that people are dying by gun violence and en masse, that is a huge problem, but it's not being addressed as a public health crisis. And even further, it's not to make it political, but nobody is seeing it as a public health crisis and a problem.
But it is political, Dr. Tachi. It is. It is political. Absolutely. Very much so. Because who are the ones who come out immediately and start arguing before people are even buried? It's thoughts and prayers. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Okay. So why do you need an AR-40? What is it? See, I don't like guns.
AR-15.
Whatever the heck it is. That shows you what I need. I don't think anybody needs that. Why? Oh, for protection. I've never heard of a case where somebody was able to thwart an attempt by having a gun. Never. Maybe I just haven't heard about it, but that is not usually the case where, oh, they saved the day because they have a gun. That never happens. You just want to have them. That's all.
In open spaces for your big ego.
Exactly.
You know what? I personally don't shop at Walmart, but when I did, I surely didn't want to go in there and see nobody doing open carry. And y'all, open carry is just big as it could be in Florida.
Yes. To say that, how dare you? How very dare you? And how sick is that to show that you have the ability to kill someone? What? That makes you feel good? You can't be a Christian.
All right. I'm just going to add, I was trying to do some research before we got onto this subject on doing our live tonight, and found it's a little bit of a dated report, but interesting. Report documents racial bias in coverage of crime by media. So in collaboration with the Equal Justice Initiative, it's run by a gentleman named Byron Stevenson, who's a really good guy. The Global Strategy Group has published a report on the role of racial bias in the media as it pertains to coverage of people prosecuted in the criminal court system. So I'll go down the bottom. Some of the findings include mugshots were used in coverage of 45% of the cases involving Black people accused of crimes, compared to only 8% of cases involving white defendants. White victims were nearly 4 times more likely to be presented in photos with friends and family than Black people victimized by crime. And media coverage was 50% more likely to refer to white defendants by name as compared to Black defendants.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? If you look at it, even though it's like 3 years old, I'm sure the stats are pretty much the same when it comes to that. Nothing has really changed when it comes to coverage. The only thing that's going to change it is to have more media outlets that are run by people of color, Black people, Asian people. You need those outlets because, let's face it, mainstream media is not interested in the sensitivity to these issues. They're interested in, they get paid through advertising. And if you don't have the most sensationalized, interesting newscast, nobody's going to watch you. Why every day I get, which publication is it? But I get a bunch of publications every day. One of them is the ratings for all the things that came out. So of course, scripted stuff, but also news. And so there's always a race to the top of Fox News beats such and such by this amount of percentage points because the ratings come out every morning. And so you look at that, and this is what it's about. The higher the ratings, that's where I, as an advertiser, want to be next to, because I'm going to get more eyeballs on it. So we can see that while in some ways it is about delivering information to the public, information to the public that is crucial but not sexy gets pushed to the side.
If it bleeds, it leads. First. Yeah, it would rather be first than right.
Right.
Unfortunate. All right, family. That's a wrap. We got through it. It. Yes. Well, we could have went further, but we went enough. And plus, well, we all need a rest because Tuesday's coming. Tuesday's coming. Well, as always, want to say both the ladies thank you for taking their time, which is their most valuable thing. What they do, because they do a lot of stuff outside of here. I'm not even going to share live. That's none of your business, or none of your beeswax, as we used to say. So before we let everybody go, Dr. Tachi, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, several ways. You can, like it says on the screen right there, Dr._Tachi on Instagram is a great way to get in touch with me. I'm also Dr._Tachi on a lot of other platforms as well, including YouTube, which is a great way. Make sure you like and subscribe my personal YouTube channel. But I'm also the founder of IndieSoup Media, which this show we have replays of on, and you can watch us Monday through Thursday from 4 o'clock till about 9, and then on Fridays from 5 o'clock to 10:30. Lots of great shows. So check us out on all platforms, but YouTube is our biggest one.
Thank you. Her name is LaLa, and she makes it short and sweet.
I do, because I am on so many platforms, and it's so easy to just go to this little site here, bit.ly/LauraKeyInfo. You can find me there and get some free resources. Guys, you know what? I cannot stress to you how important it is for you to own a piece of land. Even if it's a condo and you want a big house, you got to start somewhere. So I'm really going to be pushing you and challenging you to get into home ownership, because you have to have a sanctuary to come back home and build your generational wealth. So I have a lot of free resources here at this site as well.
All right. Land can never go wrong with land. All right. So here's where you can get a hold of me. Website, thedrvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at thedrvibeshow.com. X/Twitter, when I take time to do there, which probably isn't too much, at drvibeshow.com. Email address, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And let's just do some stuff here. Primetime Saturday at Patreon. Girlfriends Chat. Check it out. Primetime Saturday store. The link is there. Check out merchandise. Gonna see if we do those. We're gonna do those wine glasses for the election. Also, join the Primetime Saturday Discord group at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow me on YouTube. Not only on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I am part of, feel free to email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Let's also do some other things again. Don't miss out. Here we go. Debate watch party with live takes from these two ladies and 4 others, September 10th, 2024 at 9 p.m. Eastern. I want to see a lot of people in this room making comments. All right. And also, this is our lineup from the top: Aisha K. Staggers, LaLa Key, Ms. Jill Jones, Dr. Tachi, Wayne Harris, Ryan O'Neill Knight, and Cesar Nadima Musa. The queens are from the US. The kings are from Canada. We got it down, Pat. All right. So as we sign off, the real Dango, I haven't seen you in forever. I hope you're doing okay. Good to see you here. check us out on Tuesday night. Would love to have you making comments. So this is how we're going to end it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourselves grace. And again, looking forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday night. I am so excited. I am so excited. This is going to be an incredible, incredible event. So let me just play us out correctly. And I'm going to do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.